Students, good evening. Students who are in the online, am I audible? Online students, respond all of you. Okay. Now it's a time to see, to move forward about the previous topic. We already started with the most important facilities are going on. Features of Python. How many features are there? Right, 11 features. So please respond it. All of you read out. Simple, platform independent, dynamically typed, interpreted, freeware and open source, high level, robust, extensible, embedded, both functional and object oriented programming language, supports third party API. Right, good. Now it's a time to see. And last session, it was very important point. Platform independent is completed. So that platform independent, if you look at, this was the last session. I already explained it. Okay. So two types, platform dependent and platform independent. A platform is nothing but OS being used, and I was written in the last session definition of OS. So a OS is one of the software and it provides resource allocation and deallocation, and it acts as resource allocation and deallocation manager. Moreover, platform dependent languages property I said. In platform dependent languages, data types differs from one OS to another OS. This I was explained in the last session. This was an example for it. And platform independent languages I said in the last session, elaborated discussion I said. And if you look at in platform independent languages, data types of their memory spaces, data types related memory spaces remains the same on all types of OSs, right? In effective platform independent languages, all types of values stores in the form of what? Objects. And they can store unlimited amount of data. Hence, Java objects contains a size restricted, and where Python objects contains unlimited size, unlimited values can store. In Python, all values are stored in the form of objects. This is last class explained in detail about it, right? I hope everybody remembered it. Now in today's class, I'm going to discuss continuity of that. I'm going to talk about the dynamically typed. So today I'm entering into the dynamically typed. So here, students, subject is already started. Don't think that it is a demo or something. Subject is already started. Now we are inside the subject only. We are in the subject. What is dynamically typed? Today I will talk about the two important things. One is a dynamically typed and one more is interpreted. Well, continuation part of it. Now students, it's also one of the most important facility in Python. In IT, in information technology, we have two types of programming languages. They are, number one, I am going to write it. Static typed programming languages. Static typed programming languages. Number one. Number two is called what? Dynamically typed programming languages. Static typed programming languages, dynamically typed programming languages. Very important. We must know about what do you mean by static typed programming language? What do you mean by dynamically typed programming language? We must know in the class. So here, I would like to go for static typed programming language and then dynamic typed programming language with examples I will cover. Similarly, I will go for what? Dynamically typed also, I'll go for it. Before entering into the programming, all these things must be known to you. Then only you can write good programming. Okay. So let us start with static typed and then dynamic typed. Well, easy students. If I come to the example part, before the concept coverage, I would like to say examples are something like this. C language, C++, Java, and next is what? C#.NET, and many of the languages which are available in the industry or comes under static typed. When you come to dynamically typed languages, the most popular programming language is only Python at present. At present, you may have a doubt. What is the difference between Java and Python? Java is a platform independent, Python also platform independent. But Java belongs to what? Static typed. Python belongs to what? Dynamically typed. That clarity is required. When they ask about the coding also, we should able to show the coding in the interviews. Don't buttify theory and don't go to that. You go with to the interviews with a confidence of coding. So that you try to get it in this class. Now let us move to the concept of static typed and the concept of dynamic typed. See students, one more thing is there. Static and dynamic. That is different. I am not talking about static and dynamic. Here I am talking about static typed. I am talking. Dynamic typed I am talking. The word typed is important here. That I am going to explain. See students, in the last session, I am going to write the concept here. Concept. Here also I am going to explain the concept. Which languages are called static typed? I am going to give you. Simple. Very, very easy. Yesterday, I just started a small concept. What is it? Data types. Data types purpose is what? To allocate memory space. To allocate what? Memory space. In where? Main memory of the computer. For what purpose? For storing inputs. Correct or not? For storing inputs. Well, suppose I have a value called 10. 10 is what? A number without decimal places. In mathematics, we call it as what? Integer. Correct? Integer. In programming of C language, we will use which keyword? Int, we will use it. We will use int. Int is what? Data type. Yesterday only I gave some introduction. I hope you are following me. Right. So I will use int. With int, what is happening? Memory space is created. How many bytes in C language? 2 bytes. Yesterday only I said 2 bytes. Okay. With the 2 bytes, what is happening? The value 10 is getting stored. That up to that it is fine. Again, I have one more value called what? 20. Again, with int data type, memory space is getting stored. Are you following? Then again, one more kind of thing is what I want to write. C is equal to what here? A plus B. Again, it is getting stored called what? 30, for example. So that is before going to that 30 storing, what I'm trying to say is, in order to store my inputs in the memory of the computer, C programmer, C++ programmer, Java programmer compulsory need to use which data type? Int data type. Compulsory they need to mention in the program. Int. Okay. That int, if I say memory space for first one is coming, memory space for second one is coming. Once the memory space is created, values are getting stored. To process this value 10, you must give some name to that created memory space. For example, A. I will write here some, for example, B. These are called variables we can call. More about the variables, I will explain almost 45 minutes in the Python class. Right now, don't worry about it. Once the memory space is created, that memory space is pointed by one of the name. That name is called what here? Variable name. About that, I'll tell you much importance in my Python class. Right now, don't worry about it. In simple word, what? Every person in the real life will have some name or not. Every person in the life will have some type of name. That name is called what? Some labeling we are giving. We are giving some label to that person. We are giving some label to that person. That label is called what? Variable name here. So if I want to store the value 10, to store values 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30 like that. Only data type is not useful. I have to write int a comma b comma c. I need to write it. A comma b comma c. I need to write it. What is this a b c are called? What is this ABC are called? Variable. So I have to use what here? Data type I have to use. Plus I need to use variables. So that memory will be created for this A. Memory will be created for this B. And memory will be created for this C. Next line I can write A is 10 and B is 20 and C is equal to 30. I can write here 10, 20, 30. I hope you are following me. That means if I want to store my values in the memory of the computer, I must write this line compulsory. This line indicates what? Data types. Once the data types are there, memory is ready to create. On what basis memory will be created? Based on how many variables you will use it. 3 memory spaces will be created, which are pointed by A, B, C here. Suppose if I don't write this int, memory space will not be coming across. If you want, go to Java once. Go to Java once. Now I'm going for Java here. Always try to understand practically here. So there I'm going to write it. JShell I'm taking. It is an interactive approach. So I will go to this Java here. I will try to say, what is my requirement? Want to store 10 and 20. How do you do it? How do you do it now? Come on to the point back. A is equal to what? 10. Directly I am writing A is equal to 10. Error. Why error? Why error? Memory space is not created. Memory space is not created because you did not use what? Data type. B is equal to 20. Error. Why it is error? Memory space is not created. Memory space not created because of what I did not use? Data type. Next, C is equal to what I'm saying? A plus B. How many errors? 3 errors. A, B, C errors. Read out. Read out. Error. Error. C error. Next is what? B error. A error. Next is what? B error. Why 3 errors are coming? Because 3 memory spaces are not there. So definitely I need to go for what? Before storing the value, you must create what? Memory space. Come on, write it now here what? Int of, here I am writing int of, what happens? So int of, I am writing next. Here I am writing int of. So here int of A comma B comma C. This is going to create. By default, what are the values will be placed in the created memory spaces? Zeros will be placed. Here I will write it 0, 0, 0. Next I will write what? A10, B20, C is equal to what? A plus B, which is going to contain 30. This line is called, this line in Java language is called, C language is called variable declaration we can call. Variable declaration. Variable declaration we can call. What is the variable declaration? The English meaning you try to understand. We are telling to the system, I am using 3 variables of which type? Int type. Because of this line, memory space will be created for 3 variables on which data type? Int data type. This is mandatory. Mandatory means what? Compulsory for C programmer, C++ programmer, Java programmer, as well as .NET programmer. For everybody, what is compulsory? Variable declaration is compulsory. Did you understand this point? Such a type of languages, whichever is making mandatory to go for what? Variable declaration. That languages are called what? Static typed programming languages. Are you able to get it? Now, come to the point back. Once again, I'm going to give you the conclusion. I'm going to give you the conclusion once again. You go for it. Because of this type of discussion, because of static typed programming language, which drawback will be coming, sir, that you did not get so far? Every language, what is compulsory? Variable declaration is compulsory. Are you understanding? Variable declaration is compulsory. But here we are writing, suppose for example, 2.34. Yesterday I asked a question. You said beginning, before I gave the hint for you, you said what? Float, you said. But is it really float? Now, what is it? Double. By mistake, it is a static typed programming language. You are writing float, some x is equal to 2.34 you are writing. By thinking that 2.34 is which type? Float. That means if the programmer don't know the data types, is it a drawback or not? If the programmer don't know the data type of this value, you are thinking something, but system is thinking something different. That time you cannot achieve your programming perfectly. So static typed programming languages, what must be perfect? You must be perfect in where? Data types. If you don't know the data types, that is a drawback on the language side. Drawback on the language side, no. Drawback on the student side. Student is feeling what? Much difficulty. So you see that it is an error. You see that it is an error. Read out that incompatible types. Possible lossy conversion from where? Double this one, and it is getting problem of conversion this one. So how do you store that now? You have to write the letter called what now? F. F you need to take it. Are you following me? So see, this is called what? X is equal to what? 2.34. Are you able to get this point now? So here x is equal to what? 2.34. Finally, what did you understand? In static typed programming languages, what is compulsory? Data types is compulsory. Now I'm writing. Now I'm going to take up the conclusion here. In static typed programming languages, in static typed programming languages, in static typed programming languages, it is mandatory to store, mandatory to declare, what is that? To declare the variables, along with what? Data types, along with data types. Otherwise, we get what? We get what? Error. Syntax error will be coming. That error is known as syntax error. Every error will have the name syntax error. Is it an advantage or drawback? Static typed programming language drawback is what? If you don't know the type of the data, that time what it is? That drawback. Suppose now I'm asking a question. Now I want to ask you to store the date I want to store. Some x is equal to today's date I am taking 15, some 12, 20, 23 I am writing. What is the data type of the text? Tell me. What is the data type of the text? Tell me. In C language, what is the data type of the text? Don't know. Int. If I write int, it will give you 24 errors. So see that what is happening. Something is coming. What you are storing, what it is coming, completely wrong answer it is. Right or not? First of all, something is coming which you don't know. By thinking that you are in int, it is going to give you complete problem. Are you following? So what is compulsory? In the Java, if you want to go for it, there is a date class is there, which is present into java.util.date. Java.util.date is equal to new java.util.date of you need to pass the date. It's a big discussion. And such a big discussion, present students cannot afford it. Present students want what? When they look at the system, they want to get the job. That is impossible. I'm saying to you students, because yesterday some parents came and sat in my class. Yesterday, they're asking me, sir, can you explain in Telugu, half of the class? Telugu, Sanskrit, Marathi, all those languages I cannot explain. That's a problem. Student thinking like that, it's very dangerous. So I said, impossible. Better you join in some classes where they're teaching Telugu, etc., some languages like. So it's impossible. So that's why students, come to the point back. Now I'm going to say, what is our conclusion now? All these languages are comes under what? Static type. C language declaration is required. C++ declaration is required. So what is an example here? What is an example now? Example code I am writing. What is an example code in Java? Come on, first, sum of two numbers. Simple code. Sum of what? Two numbers. Sum of two numbers here. What is the sum of two numbers here? Int of a comma b comma c. A is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, c is equal to a plus b. Now I can go for printing these lines. This line is known as what? Variable declaration. This line is variable declaration. Declaration. Are you following? Which is mandatory or optional? Mandatory. This is a mandatory here. This is a mandatory here. So this mandatory part is drawback is also there. Once we know the data type of a particular value, the programmer cannot decide the data type. Best example, floating point value. But we decided something, system is going to give you something, which is comes under which type? Static type. Now come to the point back. These languages are comes under static type. Come to one more drawback also I want to say. Come to dynamic typed languages, then I will go to second drawback also I will tell you. Second, this is one point. Second point also I will tell you. Second point also after showing this dynamically typed. In dynamically typed languages like Python, I'll go to the Python. I'll go to the Python as you are already aware of this. This is a Python related environment. There I will go for what? Carefully observe it. Here you need not write the data type. Who will assign the data type? Python execution environment automatically assign the data type to that variable. Depends on the type of value you assign. A is equal to what? 10. Here what is not there? Data type is not there. Data type is not there. Who will assign the memory space for A then? Python execution environment will assign the memory space for this A. Depends on type of value you enter. Which type of value you are entering? 10 without any decimal places. Memory space is allocated with the help of the data type, which is provided by the Python environment, which is of what type? Int type, which is named by what? A, contains what? 10. I will explain these variables in detail in the one or two classes. I will explain. After the features are over, I will explain the importance of data representation. So, Lokesh Kumar, you are asking how long these variables last? Entire session. So these variables will be there when I come to the programming. In the program scope is there, program to program scope is there, session to session scope is there. There are a lot of discussion will be there on the variables. And dear students, and don't excite by yourself now. Because I am teaching one ultimate programming, nobody can teach you. Because I want to say this word compulsory. Because people are exciting. Whatever coding I am explaining, of course, don't feel that sorry is boosting. Nobody can enter into even 2% of my classes programming also. Remember this word, even the last day also I will say the same thing. 2% also they cannot touch. Same institute. You attend same institute, my class and other class, 80% different. Coding level, ultimate. Suppose if I go to variables, what I am going to tell to you about the variables? I am not going to tell like other teachers what is a variable. It's a child in my class. It's nothing. I will be explaining local variables and global variables and formal parameters, under that positional parameters, and then default variables and positional variables and formal variables, and then next is what? Keyword variables, and then variable length variables, and then next what? Keyword variable length variables. Why we are taking these many? Because you are local variable, global variable, these things you already studied in your C language. That is not, nobody will ask in interviews. They will ask these concepts only. Sir, where are you explaining that? I am explaining in different levels in my coding. If we go to that, if you come to these examples, if I come to these places, types of arguments, why I'm showing is because some people are exciting what will be the next. Here I am explaining. Are you following me? About each and every one, I am explaining in detail again. Positional arguments, once again. Here, positional arguments. Somewhere else, there is a positional arguments. Positional arguments. What is the positional argument? Separate discussion again. On that, so many programming examples. If I show you, you may be getting little tension about it. All these things, level by level, I will explain. Okay, now? Don't become speed by yourself. If I speed it, if I become too much speed, you cannot catch me. Already, you are already lost 21 years. I don't want to speed up here. This is a different journey for you in my class. So, more than that, I don't want to say again and again about my class. So, don't be excited and try to go for it. Are you able to follow now? Let us, in dynamically typed programming language, go to the place here. In dynamically typed programming languages, what is happening? I need not to give the data type. Who will assign the data type? Python environment only will assign the data type. Just see here, no error came. In the Java language, what happens? Again, I am showing error came or not. Why error not coming? Already you have done A or not. You take a different variable. K is equal to what? 100. Error came or not? But in the case of Python, what is happening? No error came. B is equal to what now? 20. No error. C is equal to what? A plus B. Now you print it. Print A comma type of A. Don't worry about what is print. Don't worry. I will explain. Type of, don't worry, because within 2 days after finishing that features, I'll explain once again to the 0th level of what is print of. Because beginning, you have a lot of tension. One side, if you look at bag, no, nothing is there in the bag. What is that? Your bag and taint. Your 21 years of education. Anything is there in the bag. If I move like that, nothing is there. Empty bag is there. Now you are going to bagging so many things in my class. Type of A. What is that now? Int. What is int? Data type. Every data type in Python is what? Yesterday only I said all values are stored in the form of what? Objects will have what? What is the class name? That is called what? Data type in Python. Int is the keyword in C language. Int is the keyword in Java. Int is the class in Python, which is a data type. All the data types in Python are called what? Classes. How many data types are there in Python? There are 14 data types are there. 14. Generally, people will teach in their classes what? 3 data types. Just attend into float bool. You also will feel into float bool. You will feel Python is very simple. But there are 14 data types are there. I'll just write it for your clarity. Int, float, bool, and then complex. This is called one category. Next is called str. Next is called bytes. Next is called byte array. Next is called byte array. Next is called what you know? Range. Range. This is called another category. Next is called list. Next is called tuple. Next is called tuple. Tuple. Next is called what you know? Set. Next is called frozen set. Frozen set. Next is called dict. Next is called none type. None type. And if you look at my explanation of these examples, you'll really wonder. When you go to set, what I'm explaining, I'll explain your Venn diagrams examples. When you go to any bigger companies, they will ask you Venn diagrams. Have you studied Venn diagrams? Studied Venn diagrams in 10th class? Studied? Who studied? Everybody studied. But you don't know. Anything you don't know about it. A delta B is equal to, it's a very regularly asking question in companies. Every institute people will speak something set. I will explain set just 80% more than everybody. What is A delta B? You tell me. Nobody knows. A delta B formula, at least you tell me. Nobody knows, including you, including most of the people. When you go to PayPal, IBM, Amazon, this type of questions will come. If I open set now, mind blowing. A delta B is equal to what? A union B minus of A intersection B. All problem solving. All problem solving. Because if I show you that entire thing, it's my time is becoming wasted. Go to this place. Go to this place, recent batch, which is 11 a.m. Data types you come. Data types you come. Just I'll open the data types here before explaining. See the detailed part. Everything. Spoon feeding. You don't know anything. At the end of the class, you know everything. That day topic, you know everything. Systematic. Under that, set data type. Under that set, I'll open. This is a first level explanation about properties of set, notations of set, operations on set, types of sets, predefined functions in set, nested set, combination of list tuple with sets, programming examples. See, systematic. And not only that, predefined functions in set, it is, you just look at how many lines, examples, libraries. Learning Python is nothing but learning about modules. Nobody will explain. Just take it. See how many lines, just 161. See how many lines. Last, you see all the questions. Consider MCQs by the companies. What is this? Union operation, subtraction operation with bitwise operators, solving of everything. Symmetric difference. This is bitwise XOR operator. This is the subject, students. Because if I show everything, it is beyond your scope of subject you are getting. So that's why don't excite. If you excite, I'm not going to complete so early. If I complete so early the Python, you are the loser. Already you lost lakhs of rupees in colleges. Lost or not? Lost or not? Anything getting? No. That's why here you are getting everything to do the job. That's why don't miss my sessions. This is my kind advice for everybody. Shall we start? Well, in dynamically typed, I will come to this point also. In this place, is it necessary to write the data type? No. No. Come to the point of it. In dynamically typed programming languages, Python execution environment, Python execution, or otherwise you will write something. It is mandatory to declare the variables in which languages? Static type. Here, what will happen? Here, what is happening? Python programmer or the programmer, I will write this like this. Programmer need not to use data type. Need not to use data type while we are storing the data. While we are storing the data. Who will assign the data type to the data? In other words, I can write in other words. What is this now? In dynamically typed programming languages, depends on type of data. We assign based on the data. Python execution environment will assign what? The data type. Will assign the data type automatically or what? Implicitly. I hope you are getting me. Automatically or implicitly assign the data type. Because of that, what is an advantage? Without knowing the data type, even you can store the data. Is it really an advantage or not? In the programmer complexity point of it, dynamically typed programming languages are so easy than what? So simple than what? Static typed programming languages. Example, if I come to an example, here the same code I will write it. Now tell me the code now. Addition of what? Two numbers. Addition of what? Two numbers. Tell me what is the code in Python you have written? Come on now. A is equal to 10. B is equal to 20. C is equal to what? A plus B. Now I will write it now. Print of A comma type of A. What is printed here? 10 is printed. Class called what? Int. Class called int. I hope you are following it. Similarly, I'll go for what? Print of B also I will take it. Print of B I will take it. Here, for your clarity purpose, I'm writing example also in the notes. 20. Which type? Which type? Int type. What is the type of C now? C is called what here? 30. 30 is also called what type? Int type. Who is assigning the data type of 10, 20, 30? Python execution environment. Python execution environment. Spell out environment. Improve your vocabulary, students. Here I will write it what now? B and the type of B. Are you getting or not? And next is called what here? C comma type of C. Now you are going to get like this. Clear or not? Now you see X is equal to 1.2. Y is equal to some 10. What is the type of X? Without knowing that, I just stored it. Who is assigning that value? X comma type of what? X, which is of what? Float. What is the float here? What is the X? Object. Yesterday's class, carry. What is that X? X, object. Of which type? Float. 1.2 is what? Value. What is X? Object. Who is assigning the memory space for X? Python execution environment. Which data type is internally using? So Python is which language? Dynamically typed programming language. Now Z is equal to what now? X plus Y. What is the value of X? 1.2 plus 10. 11.2. 11.2 is stored in where? Z. Which data type Z is? Float. And before that I will print Y value also. Y value is called what? Int. Z is equal to what I will write? X plus Y. Print of what next? Z comma type of Z. You will be getting the value called what? 11.2. Of which type? So what did you understand? Who is assigning the data type here? Python execution environment. Which languages are easy to learn it? Python environments are simple in writing the coding also. So Python is which language now? Dynamically typed language. And one more point I want to tell you about the static type. Here I want to mention it. Boys in the back, are you comfortable? Now, go to this environment. Go to this environment. I'm going to take up. I am taking int p is equal to 100. This is called what? Variable p. It is designed as which type to store it? 100. It is always containing which type? Int type. This is statically designed to store which values? Int type. That is perfect. Okay. P contains what? 100. All of a sudden, I am expecting some dynamism in my storing the data. 12.34, I am trying to write it. 12.34, I am trying to write it. P was statically typed as which type? But I am storing which type? Double type I am storing. In where? P. But P was which type? Int type. Now I am storing what? Will it be allowed? No. Your compiler will not accept it because it was statically typed as which type? Int type. But you are trying to store what? So once you declare the variable as int type, you have to store int type values only. Other type of values, if you store, you will get error. Syntax error will come again. Look at the syntax error. Syntax error is coming or not? Why this error is coming? See the error. Double to int is not possible. It is a double. Double to int you said. It is not possible. P is equal to 3000. Okay, no problem. Allowed. Which type? Int type. Int type allowed. But all of a sudden P is equal to what? I am writing something like Java I am writing. Within the double quotes I am writing. But P is which type? Will it be allowed? Not allowed. Not allowed. See that incompatible types. String cannot be stored in where? Int. So once you declare the variable as certain type, you have to store that type of values only. Other type of values are not possible. That is called which type? Static typed programming languages. That means once I declare you as a student, you have to be lifelong student only. Are you lifelong student? No. So after a few months, you should become an employee or not? So you should have what? Dynamism in changing the value type. If you go to the Python environment, look at A is equal to what? 100. What is the type of A? Quickly. Which type? Int type. A is equal to what now? 12.34. Print of A. Come on. Float. In Python 3.x, there is no data type called a double. Why, sir? Because float is a class whose object is called what? Taking smaller value to what? Bigger value, and the biggest values, all the values small value to bigger value can be stored in the object. Why float and double is coming in other languages? Float will take 4 bytes and double will take what? In memory variation purpose, they went like that. But in the case of Python, there is no such memory restrictions are not there. The float itself can store what? Smaller value to bigger values also can be stored. That's why there is a float data type only there. Which data type is not there? Double, long double, all those things are not there. I hope you are getting, students. So this is called what now? Float. Earlier it was which type? Same A is treated as which type? This is known as what? Dynamically typed. Even though you typed it, is it changing its type or not? Is it static typed or dynamic typed? Okay, A is equal to, now I am writing row sum I am writing. What is the type of that? Included within double quotes. It is called just like a string. In our Python, it is called str. Print that A now. What is that now? Str. Str is what here? A class. What is A here? In one moment of time, what is it? Int. In another moment of time, what it is? Float. In another moment of time, what it is? Hence, what is Python language is dynamically typed. In other languages, it is which type you taken it? Int. But it is storing double, not possible. Storing string, not possible. So hence Java is what? Python is what? What you are observing in the class, same thing you need to tell in interviews. Today listening, tomorrow forgetting, like that. If you do like your old days, it is also similar to that. Because here everything practically I am showing it, which is never happens in your previous days. Will it happen? No. That's why here I am showing everything for you. No faculty will show like this, point to point will not show. You attend everywhere and try to attend mine and then decide. That's what I'm saying. Now I'm going to write in static typed programming languages. Once we define the data type, I'm writing here. Once we define a data type, we can store that type of values only, but not what? Other type of values. But not whatever you have seen, I am writing it, but not other type of values. Because it is what? Static typed. You designed it for that purpose only. It is not going to change dynamically. I hope you are getting it. So in dynamic programming languages, what is happening? In this place, I'm writing this place. Here I'm writing it. In dynamic programming languages, in dynamically typed programming languages, I'm writing here. Dynamically typed programming languages, once we store the data, once we store the value of one type, we can store other type of values, during program execution. During program execution, you may have a doubt, sir, how to get the previous value? Now you are getting 10.25. Before, what is there? 10 is there. And later, what is there? Row sum is there. How to get the first value? We can restore that value with our programming technique. Simple. Now you are sitting in my class. Who are you? Student. When you go to the shop, who are you? Customer. When you go to cricket stadium, who are you? Player. How you become a student? Don't come to the class. That is real life. But we can have our programming mechanism is there. That we can get the previous value. We can keep track of the values also. I'll explain in the class. Understand, students? Let us move to the further. In dynamically typed programming languages, we can store values. We can store some type of values of, we can store the values. We can store the values of one type. We can store other type of values during what? Program execution, and a Python environment can assign the data type dynamically during the program execution. It can change us the value. Always in dynamically typed programming languages, values can be go on varying. That is ultimately one good advantage for the programmers. Did you understand this? Fine. So, online students, I hope it is more clear. I hope so. I hope you are understanding. So, what is the key used to run the execution? What is the key used to run the execution? See that how they are asking. Which key is used to run the execution? Because they are coming from C background, you will press what? Control F9. Control F9 is one of the worst process. Nobody will do in the software industry. Nobody will do in the software industry. And you are saying Java, C, Java. Yesterday I said Python and Py. I said Py program.py, Java, C, Java. That is only in academics they will use. In real time, they will use some tools. And what you learned in academics, you are asking academic kind of thing. Which key is used to program execution? First of all, that question itself you see. What is the key used to run execution? What is the key used to run the execution? This question itself is very dangerous. So, which key used to run the execution means which one? Java na, Python na, C na, C++. What is that? So here I am showing the execution. All the statements one by one I am showing. Are you following? Right. Now, anyhow, because if I take your doubts into my standards, I feel always doubts are also ingenuine. Because if you have correct knowledge, doubts also will come properly. And if I say all these things, you may feel that, sir, we don't know anything. I don't know that. Whether you know it or not, I don't know. So let us move to the further. So anyhow, I'm going to enter into the further about this. Is it clear? So if somebody asks you tomorrow, what is Python language? What did you answer? Python is one of the simple, platform independent, dynamically typed programming language. What is Java? If somebody asks you, Java is one of the platform independent, static typed programming language. If somebody asks you what is C language, C language is one of the platform dependent static typed programming language. Understand? And other languages need not to worry about it. We need to worry about our Python related information in the class. Now I am talking about what? Another feature called what? Interpreted. I will go for it. Is the dynamically typed is clear? Shall I move to the further? Now I am going to talk about what? Interpreted. Now I am going to enter into the interpreted. Online students, if doubts are there, you keep the doubts with you. I will be talking to you at the end of the class now. I can talk to you. The same doubt, you are asking the same doubt, which is asking this. If different type of values are assigned to same variable name, while accessing those values, what will happen? This is already I said. In one moment of time, 10, another moment of time, 10.5, and next is called what? Row sum. When I access it, what value will come? You are also out of order. Look at A is equal to 10, A is equal to 1.2, A is equal to what? HYD. If I print A, what will come? That only, she is asking that doubt only. Minimum basic, minimum basic, minimum basic. LKG you studied, UKG studied, 5th class studied, 10th class studied, BTech 4th year is studied. After BTech 4th year is completed, if I ask a question, what you will remember BTech 4th year, LKG, intermediate, 10th class? Recent value only remembering. How to get the previous values? I said I will explain that. These are all, and doubts are not genuine, because that I don't want to comment about your performance. What industry we are thinking, what you are getting, you require to come to my line of control. Still, one more 3-4 days are required. When I come to the programming first step, I'll slowly get it into my context. If I take that, it will be a problem now. If I print A, what is the answer is printing? HYD will be coming. That is a doubt if you ask. Almost no basics. Are you getting or not? Yes. Come to the point back. If any such basics doubts are there, I will concentrate, because in the middle of the class, if I go for it, it's a class will be getting problem. I will answer it at the end of the session. Let us move to the another thing is called interpreted. Here I will explain first what is compiler. Carefully listen. What is compiler? What is interpreter? What is interpreter? Next, I will go for what is compilation also. Compilation. What is compilation? Next, I will talk about what is interpretation. Interpretation. And next, later, I will go for what is linker, what is loader, what is assembler. That part will be separate. Right now, we don't want to go for other details. Compiler, compilation, interpreter, interpretation. I would like to speak about this first. Carefully try to understand it now. What do you mean by compiler, compilation, interpreter, interpretation? So directly if I go to C program execution, how it will execute, Python program execution, how it is going to. I'm going to tell you how Python program will execute today internally. I'm trying to say. How C program will execute also I am going to say. If anybody knows, I will test your knowledge. If no knowledge, I'll go to Python directly. Because before I am entering into the subject, I have to test your knowledge. Otherwise, student will feel that I know everything. That is the main problem is coming. If they feel that I don't know anything, I have to listen carefully, means everything will set right. But the thing is what? They feel that they know something. Come to the system and try to practice it. Nothing is there in the box. So, come to the point. First, I want to introduce the word called what? Interpreter, interpretation, compiler, compilation I want to speak. General terminology first I will explain. Then I will go to the programming immediately. Well, try to concentrate, students. Suppose there is I will give you some general awareness for you students. Just a general awareness. He is a politician. He is a politician. Politician came from Delhi. Politician came from Delhi. This politician knows the language called Hindi only. He knows only Hindi. And he came to Hyderabad to give some political lecture. And the audience are what? Audience are Telugu people, for example. Audience purely knows Telugu. They don't know alphabets of Hindi. And he started giving the political lecture. What will happen? Will they understand? No. That's why who is there in the middle? Come on, fast. Good. One person is there. He will receive what words? Hindi. He will receive Hindi. He will understand. He is converting into what? Telugu. This person is known as what? Translator. He is called in your English what? Translator. How he is doing? Line by line converting, all at once converting. That is known as in our computing interpretation we can call. Spell out. Interpretation. Interpretation. This interpretation is done by a component called interpreter. Done by a component called what? Interpreter. So what is interpreter? It is one program which is reading line by line of source language. What is the source language here? Hindi. Converted into what? Destination language called what? Telugu. So what is the interpretation? Tell me. Interpreter is one of the software component which will read the lines of source code what you have written, converted into what? Destination language. That process is called what? Interpretation. So interpretation means line by line conversion of source code into what? Destination code. That I will explain through computing. Now come to, did you understand the meaning of interpreter? Interpreter will do which process? Interpretation. Interpretation process is what? Line by line conversion. Got it? What it converts? Source to destination. Come to next day morning newspaper. What will come? Total meeting will come in 1 or 2 paragraphs. That is called all at once converted into one simple 2 paragraphs. That is called what? They compiled that entire meeting into one paper. That is compilation, means all at once converted into what? Destination. That is known as compiler doing what process? Compilation process. So what is the difference between compiler and interpreter in general sense and come to technically? Interpreter will do line by line. Compiler will do all at once conversion is done. C language is a compiler based language. Python is a interpretation based programming language. Java is a compilation as well as interpretation based language. Are you getting my point? Compiler will do what? All at once conversion. Interpretation will do what? Line by line conversion. That is more than enough to understand the subject. Python is which language? Interpretation programming language. In interpretation, what will happen? Line by line. In compilation, what will happen? Simple. One more example. In my program, 30 lines are there. 30 errors are there in each line. If I write a C program language, that is 30 lines in, if I write in C language, C compiler will show all the errors at a time. All the errors at a time. If I execute in Python environment, first error only it will show. Why? It will process line by line only. Did you understand this difference? All at once showing is called compilation. Line by line is showing. That is the difference. And practically also you will get the same. And need not to go for big textbooks and all, need not to study. Right. Go to the execution environment I want to show you. Come to this point, students. I will go to some small documentation I want to show you. Here I am going to show simple execution environment. Here I am going to show you first about the C language execution. C program execution I want to show you. C program execution I want to show you. What is the C program execution I am showing here? You try to get it. So here I am going to get it. C programming language execution environment I am going to show you. Here, first I will write what? Program I will write it. What is the program? What is the batch mode? What is an interactive mode? I will show you separate in the class. What is the program? First of all, some instructions I am writing to solve the real-time task. That is called what? Program. Suppose I want to generate a QR code. I will write some piece of code or not? I want to send an SMS from one device to another device. Definitely I will go for what? Some piece of code I will write it. What that piece of code is called? Program. That program we will write in which language? C language. That I will give you what? Some name I will give you to that. Some name I will give you to that program what I am writing. That I will explain in detail of it. In detail of it when I come to Python environment. We give some name to that program. That is called a file name we can call. I will explain in detail once again in the further when it is starting. With an extension we will give you. That extension is called .c. Stands for what? It is a C program. It indicates that it is a C program. If it is a C++ program, we will give you what? .cpp we will give. If it is a Java program, we will give you what? .java. So this .java, .c are called what? Extensions. Extensions makes us to understand in which language we have written the code. In which language we have written the code. I have wrote a file name. Assume that I am writing sum of two numbers program. I am writing here called what? Sum.c. Sum.c. That indicates what? Source code we can call. Now what is it is called? Source code. Extensions makes us to understand in which language we have written the code. The code which you are writing by yourself is known as what? Source code. A politician speaking in Hindi, that is what source. What is my source code written? program is written. That is not here. Source code. Once you write the source code, you are supposed to execute the program. That program execution is going to contain two steps here. Two steps here it is going to contain. One is called what? Compilation process. One is called what? Execution process. Because it is totally new terminology for you. Whether your faculty explained or not, I don't know. It is the minimum knowledge you must have it. This is called what? Compilation process to be done. Next you need to go for what? Execution process to be taken into consideration. So I am going to write here execution process. What is happening? I will write here. Now students, what is happening here? Once you write the source code, you are going to submit for what? Compilation. Who will come into the picture? Compiler component will come into the picture. What is the job of compiler? It reads the source code, checks for the syntax of the language, which language syntax it will fetch, C language syntax it will fetch. If no errors are present in the source code, that is converted into what? Intermediate code will convert. It will convert into the intermediate code. This is called intermediate code. Intermediate code this is called. So let me go for some increasing font. This is called intermediate code here. The intermediate code of any language after the compilation process is over, intermediate code will come. That intermediate code will be submitted for what? Execution purpose. That will be what? Executable code, which is understandable by what? Processor and OS. That will give you the result. So that much process is there. C compiler. Here who is coming into the picture? C compiler coming into the picture. Because I am doing program, C program. So Dennis C with the father of C language. He developed in the C software itself. What is there? C compiler is there. C libraries are there. All of them are coming into where? C language. James was with the father of Java. He developed what? Java compiler as well as what? Java libraries is also provided. So all of the language definitely what will come? Compilers will come. That will be which process here. Which process is doing? Compilation process is doing. Compilation process of C language is what? All at once. Compilation process of C language is what? Students? All at once. Just I am writing here. All at once. So compilation process done. First of all, did you understand the meaning of compilation? Next step. Once compiler is thinking that compiler checked that no more errors are there in your source code, it will convert into what code? Intermediate code. The intermediate code of C language is extension is some dot obj. Because you don't know C language, that these are all new things will come. Because seeing your faces, you are going to think that is the Greek and Latin. It is the minimum knowledge student must have. Because by day standards of education in your institutes in English are going wrong like anything. Passing and then coming out after that, what is an elementary you cannot imagine. So some dot obj is an extension of which code? Intermediate code in C language. This is called what? Object code we can call. What is the intermediate code in C language? Object code. So once you set that source code compiler converts into which code? Object code is which one? Intermediate code of which language? C language. What is an extension of intermediate code? Dot obj. That dot obj, you are containing which code? Object code. Object code is what here? Intermediate code of which language? Who will generate the object code? C compiler. C compiler which code? So source code is converted into which code? By whom? C compiler. All at once. If no errors are there, if errors are there, errors will show to the programmer itself. Are you following me? After the source code is converted into executable code, It is going to come to the execution process. It is coming to the execution process. Execution process. Coming to the execution process. Who will execute the program? Nobody knows. Who knows C language? Many students are there who know C language. They don't know. You ask any trainer, you are having an intention with your trainer or college people. You ask them, who will execute C program? They will get a doubt immediately. Who gives you this idea? Who will execute C program? You already done C programs. Who will execute? Don't tell me will execute. Or don't tell me will execute. Who will execute? And we completed it. Everything is completed. So now I am saying here, I am telling that exactly. She shall. There is a component called what? She shall. This is the software component which will run internally. And the people will say to execute the program, control F9 you are pressing. Control plus F9 you are pressing. But internally who is involved, which component is calling internally? C shell, B shell, corn shell, some kind of things are there. What C shell will do? C shell will read what? Object code. Object code will read. Line by line it will read. That is called interpretation. C shell will read the total object code once converted into what? Machine understandable code. That is called what? Binary code it is converted. Now I am writing. If you catch my point, C shell reads entire object code and converts into machine understandable code. Machine understandable code. What is the machine understandable code? Binary language. Binary language. What is the binary language? Zeros and ones. Converted into that machine understandable code is converted. Machine understandable code it is converted. And which is understandable by what again? Which is understandable by what again? Which is understandable by OS and what processor. And finally gives what result. This is the flow is happening internally. Actually, this is the flow actually happens. What is the extension we are getting it? Some .exe will come. Some .exe. So here you see source code converted into what? Intermediate code, object code into what? Here executable code. This is called executable code. This is the process actually. So who will compile my program? C compiler. Who will execute my program? So if I want to execute my program, how many steps will take place? Two steps. Number one, compilation process, execution process. Still you don't understand this. Still you are layman example if you want what is compilation, what is execution. Suppose if you want to prepare, you want to prepare some curry. You want to prepare some curry. What do you need to buy it? Source always available by or not. And you need to do what? Cooking is your line of right or not. What you will do first? Directly will cook from market. Now what you will do? You will go for doing what? Cleaning, cutting, everything you will get ready. Your bowls are not. That is known as process. Compilation. Then you will go for what? The cooking place and start cooking. And ready or not? This don't do this example in English. Your students are always in danger. Because always something they will write something in the example because I have seen it. So that's this if you try to take the general awareness, you will be getting. If I don't, you will not catch me. Now if I say example everybody is having okay, understood. Getting out how many processes to execute the program? Two. One is compilation process, execution process. So let me forward. Come to which environment I am coming? Python environment. That is what I am interested in. That is what I am interested in. I will go to the paint. I'll come to the paint now. Go to the Python environment. I'm going to take it. So I'm going to take here Python execution environment. I'm going to introduce how simple it is. Now Python execution environment. Python execution environment I'm going to discuss. Simple. Once you understand that area, this is going to be very simple here. So try to follow this now. Carefully try to follow. So here let's start with. So here I'm going to write it as usual. We write what here. So what? Here also what will be there. Interpretation, compilation is there. Here also what will be there. Execution is there. Python is going to be easy for you once you catch it. Carefully to listen. Because don't take that single word you can understand. You can it is possible also. Because what student is expecting in one moment everything comes. You cannot get it. Is it happen to you everything can you lose at a time? No. That's why to get the success route, some time will be required to discuss everything. Start here. What is my extension of C program? .c. What is the extension of .java? .java. .cpp. Python. That's all. Some what? Py. More about that I will explain. I have separate discussion for every topic. Now. .py. It is known as Visual Code students. Source code. Written by who? Python programmer. A is equal to B is equal to C is equal to split of A, B, C. That is what source code. Written. Now I will submit to whom? Compiler. Which compiler here? Python compiler. Python compiler. When I was installed Python software, along with Python software, Python compiler will come, Python modules will come. Understood that? The Python compiler, how it is doing, how this is doing, here I write it, Python compiler. Python compiler. What is this Python compiler is doing? Line it is doing. Line it is doing. This is what process? Compilation process. Compilation process is. Here it is called a compilation process. How this Python compiler is doing? Line it is converting. Are you getting? Suppose if I am having 1 to 30 lines, first line is going to be no problem with errors. It is converted. If second line there is a problem, some error is there, that error will be sent to the programmer, will be showing on console, will be showing on monitor about that error message. Are you getting my point? So this is going to do what? Line by line. Line. This is going to do line by line. This is considered a process. Interpretation process. Even though the word called compiler, don't ask me this question. Sorry, put the name called compiler. Compiler is doing what process? Line by line. Which phase? Compilation. This is acting as what? Interpreter. Understand? Compiler is doing all at once. Compiler is doing line by line. Line by line compilation is called interpretation. So Python compiler is called interpreter. Did you understand that? So Python compiler, after seeing that no errors are there, that will convert into intermediate code. That intermediate code is called .pyc. 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 That pyc is containing what? Intermediate code will be there here also. The intermediate code of Python is called bytecode. Spell out. Bytecode. Intermediate code of C language is called what? Object code. Intermediate code of Python is what? Bytecode. That bytecode is subject for what? Execution. So I'm going to enter which phase? Execution phase. Execution phase. Who is going to compile your Python program? Python. Come on. Python. C-shala. ఇక్కడ అది కూడా నాలెడ్జ్ లేదు ఇక్కడ ఆల్రెడీ C language లో. How can you carry that? So coming to that, now I will tell you. Listen. PVM. Who is that?
PVM. Don't full form. Because some people are already gold medalists are there here. PVM is a component which stands for your favorite on Python virtual machine. In Java also there is a PVM is there. This is called international batch. Total. So come to the point back. There is an architecture of PVM. 6 hours it will take. 6 hours openly. PVM. So much of this thing. Yes, simply one line answer. If I say the full form, you'll be very happy. When you go to interview, they'll show this is for you. Really, students. Don't be playful in class. Serious. Be a professional. Okay, now. Right. Come on now. What PVM is doing here, sir? PVM is doing earlier is doing what complete object code is converted into machine code. Here I am writing PVM reads line by line of bytecode. Line by line of bytecode. See the word here. Line by line of what? Bytecode. And what? Converted into where? Converted into machine understandable code. Machine understandable code, which is nothing but what? Binary code or machine code we call. Binary code is what? Zeros and ones. Don't ask me. Binary code and byte code. Then there is some sense. Byte code is not what they are thinking. Binary code is different. Byte code is understandable to whom? Binary code is understandable to whom? OS and processor. Machine log. OS and processor. People say that is a layman answer. Who will understand binary code? Don't say that. Who will understand that binary code? OS and processor, which is understandable by what? OS and processor, and finally gives answer. And finally gives what? Result. This is what is Python program execution. I hope you are understanding. So I hope you are following this. Are you understanding, students? Now, who will this is called what now? Execution also going on what? Line going on. And the compilation also going on what? Line compilation, line execution. It is known as PV language. Python is language. Interpretation-based programming language. Interpretation-based programming language. Now, I hope you are following me. Interpretation-based programming language. How can you include it? Interpretation is compilation, interpretation line by line. Execution also line by line. That's why Python is called what? Interpretation-based programming language. And along with that, I said who will execute, who will compile. I said detailed. Not even what is the extension of the source code .py. Who will compile my Python program? By Python compiler. How it compiles line by line. What is the extension of my intermediate code? .pyc. I'll show you everything in the class. What is the .pyc contains? Byte code. That byte code submitted to whom? PVM. PVM will cover what? Execution phase. What is the level of PVM? Definition of PVM. PVM reads the line of byte code and converted it into the machine understandable code, that binary code, which is understandable by OS and processor, and finally gives result. This is the execution process of Python. So to execute the Python program, how many phases are there? Number one is called compilation. Number two is called execution. This is the actual flow. Got it? So, once somebody asks how Python program will execute, explain through diagram. I will send this diagram to you as a part of the notes. So, come to that. Now, I want to give you that explanation. Instead of typing it once again, I will give you simple discussion here. Please read out now. Come on, read out. When we develop any Python program, we must use some file name and an extension .py. File name .py. When we execute Python program, two processes take place internally. compilation process, execution process. In compilation process, Python code submitted to Python compiler, and it reads the source code, check for the errors by verifying syntaxes, and if no errors found, then Python compiler convert into intermediate code called bytecode with an extension .pyc, file name .pyc. If errors found in source code, then we get error displayed on the console. Console is the monitor. Understood? Well. In the execution process, the PVM reads the Python intermediate code called bytecode line by line and convert it into machine understandable code. That is called executable binary code. And it read by OS and processor and finally use result. Hence, in Python program execution, compilation process and execution process is taking place line by line conversion, and it is one of the interpretation-based language. Definition of PVM. Your favorite answer in the bracket. Don't tell your favorite answer. Don't laugh. It is your favorite definition. Don't tell. If you tell full form, they will understand 90% that you don't know anything. Any faculty says don't join there. They are wasting your future. Next. PVM is one of the programming Python software and whose role is to read line by line of bytecode, convert it into machine understandable code, executable or binary code. That is the definition of what PVM. What is PVM? You need to tell first. Last, if you are very much interested, PVM stands for tell that also. Your answer is the last answer. My answer is the first answer. If you say beginning one, people will say they won't ask question. They'll say okay, we'll call you later. Okay, na? What is OS? It acts as a resource allocation manager, resource allocation manager, OS stands for so and so. Beginning what OS is saying your answer. You are out of order. Okay, na? So convert by yourself to subject. This is about interpretation language. Come to the point. What we discussed today? This one. Somebody asked you what is Python. Python is one of the simple platform independent, dynamically typed, interpreter-based programming language like your total. Understand? And then tomorrow class when I come back, we will discuss about these three things. Four things I will discuss tomorrow. And Saturday there is a class. Think that last Saturday you have a holiday. That is the business policy. Saturday. Generally, listen this word. When Saturday comes, all students will feel that they are software engineers. They'll feel that they are team leaders, project managers, etc. They'll try to enjoy the weekend by going to underground. So, as a student, I am advising everybody during the student time, during training period of some subject, don't go here, there, complete your course fully, get yourself once you get the job, you can go anywhere. But during the period of course study time, if you go here and there, you will miss your subject. Because of subject missing, you will be out of order. Are you following me? So don't prepare any underground action plans for Saturdays and Sundays. If you go to Saturday, generally what we are seeing on the nowadays people are going what? Friday also not into the classes. Preparing for tomorrow. Tomorrow they will go underground. Sunday they will take rest. Monday they won't go to the class. Why they are enjoying Saturday memories? Tuesday they will come. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Only 3 days you have to take classes. That is impossible. Not everybody. I am talking about 25% of the students. This is my advice. Don't miss the classes. Right, students. Thank you. All the best. Don't miss tomorrow class. Important concept. Thank you. Online students, you can hold on. I'll talk to you.